Before we get into today's story, I wanted to take a minute to talk about chilling. Chilling has been making waves in the horror community as the home of horror. Chilling has over 800 creepypastas, scary stories, true crime, and it's all ad-free. New content is constantly being added along with new narrators reading your favorite spooky stories. Chilling also allows you to darken or minimize your screen to listen to content on the go without draining your battery. To get started with Chilling, give their free trial a try to test things out, and if you like it, it's only $2.99 a month after that. We are also coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Chilling, and to thank everyone for their support, Chilling is running a 1-year anniversary giveaway. The grand prize winner will be receiving a Samsung 70-inch smart TV, a Samsung soundbar, and a limited edition Chilling 1-year anniversary t-shirt. 2 first-place runners-up will receive a $100 gift card to Amazon and a limited edition t-shirt as well. And then 5 second-place runners-up will receive a $25 Amazon gift card and a limited edition t-shirt as well. All the winners will be announced on May 2nd, and all the details to enter the giveaway and check out Chilling will be linked below in the description. Thanks again to Chilling for being the home of horror. I joined as a park ranger 5 months before the events of this story happened. I would encounter the stairs occasionally, but it was random when they would appear. Once, I went a month without seeing them, and then I would run into 3 of them in 3 days consecutively. Hold on, I think I'm getting ahead of myself here. Most of you probably don't even get what I'm even talking about. In the national park where I work at, occasionally out in the wilderness, you'll find staircases which seem to sprout out of nowhere. Just staircases out in the open. They don't seem to lead anywhere, and they go away just as quickly as they appear. Now, I'm pretty sure this would be a bigger news story than it is, but as it is, the higher-ups want to keep a wrap on them. I don't know if perhaps they know more than I do about them, but whatever it actually is, the other rangers didn't seem to care for them much either. Whenever I would ask or inquire about them, most of them would not respond and just straight up ignore me and start talking about the weather or some other kind of small talk. Some of them would glare at me as if I had just committed an unforgivable sin, and they would tell me never to mention them again. A few of the others would just shrug and get on with whatever it was that we were supposed to be doing. I did eventually find someone though. I'll call this someone Mark. He was a bit more open to talking about the stairs than any of the others. Listen, I know that you're new here, and most people just get the hint that no one is supposed to talk about the stairs, but yeah, for some reason they just sort of pop up out of nowhere. He paused, and he looked at me quizzically. Have you ever come across one which is upside down? I paused and shook my head. I've seen one of them like that, and some of the others have too. I have no clue what it means though. The only thing that you need to know is that you are never to ever, and listen to me, ever go on them. Do that and the least you'll be getting is fired. He then trailed off, not detailing the things that could happen which would be worse than getting fired. And honestly, for a time, for some reason I just sort of accepted that. We weren't supposed to be going on the stairs. It seemed simple enough to me at the time. So much so that I even began to ignore it like many of the other rangers. That was until one day we had gotten an alert that a kid had disappeared somewhere in the woods of our park. I was sent out as part of the search party, and as I began combing the area where the kid was last seen, I saw it. A set of stairs, lined with a yellow carpet. Another one of the rangers, I'll call her Stacy, had found me standing there just staring at it. Stacy was a part of the crowd like many others, which would just ignore the stairs as much as possible. But her face became pale when she saw them. She looked at me and shook her head. "We'll keep searching, but, well, we need to get ready to tell the folks the bad news." She laughed shortly after, and I quickly pieced together what she thought had happened. The kid must have grown curious at seeing the staircase in the woods, and like many others probably would in the same situation, he had went up the stairs. And after that, well, I'm not sure. Whatever happened when you went up them happened. Meaning she had already written off the kid as good as gone. For me, though, I wasn't one to give up that easily. Unfortunately, for me, it's just how I am. I never seem to just be able to put things down. Plus, I was new here and somehow felt that I could pull something amazing off, maybe gain a little bit more credibility around the other rangers. What an idiot I was. I won't lie though, I did feel odd while going up those stairs. I spent a good minute just staring at them initially, probably more than a minute, unsure if I should go up or not. In the end though, I figured that if I didn't make my move sooner rather than later, someone else would find me, and I did not want to be caught doing it. I slowly counted the steps out on my hands as I went up them one by one. 13 in total. Weird. 13, an odd number. And as I put my foot on the topmost step, my body shook. Have you ever had that false falling sensation when you're about to fall asleep? When you're trying to fall asleep, but it's really your body just trying to do a final check to see if everything's a-okay or something, I believe. Well, that's what I felt. As if when my foot descended to meet the topmost step, the ground beneath me gave way, but immediately popped back into existence. And when that was done, I was no longer at the top of the staircase. I was at the bottom again, and I was no longer in the woods. I was in someone's house, and the stairs were still completely out of place. They led up right into a wall. I looked around. The carpet here didn't even match that of the staircase. It was a crimson red color. I was in a hallway, and I could hear some voices coming from another room. Now I know it all sounds stupid, but the first thing that came to mind was that I was wearing shoes. Shoes which had been outside in the woods on a carpet. If it was my mom, she would be screaming bloody murder at me. What would the owner or the owners of this house think? Slowly, I crept up towards the door, dreading what was coming up. As it was, I couldn't exactly go back down into the woods, but maybe I could keep going up. But would that even lead me back home? Or or somewhere else entirely. As it was, even though this was a weird situation, I was still more confident with staying here where I was, because at the very least, this place was safe, or at least it seemed like it was. And as they say, better the devil you know. I went into the room, preparing an apologetic face. The room looked fairly normal at first glance. There were 4 people sitting at a table, 2 adults and 2 children. They looked like they were eating dinner, based on how dark it was outside of the windows. The television was on and there was some sort of news program on, which they all must have been watching, before they noticed me and turned their heads. And that's what was off about them. Their heads. Each of them had their heads on backwards. Even the newscaster on television had his head on backwards, and it was looking out with his chair turned around the other way. Otherwise, they were just like you and I, and really thinking about it too. It seems almost comical, though it didn't seem funny at the time. The 4 of them screamed, and one of them lunged for a knife. I didn't want to stick around any longer, and I wound back up on the staircase. Instinctively, I thought that if I went back up them, I would once again end up somewhere else. It was either that or go outside the door. But I had a strange feeling that when I went out into the world, given what I saw from just the news broadcast, I would find a world filled with people with their heads on backwards. As my feet touched the top of the stairs, I once again felt the weird falling sensation as I found myself back out in the woods. I sighed in relief now. Granted, I hadn't found the kid that I was looking for in the first place, but I was safe from whatever those creatures were. However, there was definitely something off here. I realized that quickly enough when I glanced up. There was nothing off initially, until I saw that there was something accompanying the sun overhead. It was another sun, which had descended towards the horizon. 2 suns in the sky. I definitely wasn't back in Kansas. Taking a deep breath, I went up the stairs again, and again, and again. I saw many things, worlds which were a lot like our own, but subtly different. People having the wrong number of appendages, people who had only 1 eye, or 3. Sometimes I would even end up at some different part of time. I saw dinosaurs roam across the plain before I got my common sense together and laughed pronto. Now, I have my own theory on what these stairs are now. They're gateways between different universes. I can only think that the fabled inverted ones that Mark once mentioned somehow led back, but I haven't been able to find one. I've been going up these same set of stairs, hoping to end up back home. Granted, I finally got a break. Well, something of a break. I found him, the kid that I was looking for. The little guy started screaming the moment that I had approached him. Understandable, I guess, but I managed to introduce myself and calm him down just a little bit. We had ended up in someone's house, though thankfully the homeowner wasn't there. The only thing that I could think to do at that point was call for help, but my phone wasn't getting a signal. And so, I went on here and was hoping some of you could help us get back home. I've been scouring the internet, and it does seem like we've managed to loop back around finally, given that I can see the national park where I work at is listed there on the internet. I saw a bunch of familiar sites and news items as well too. It's good to be back home. Overall, we're both doing fine for now, though we are kind of getting hungry. And oh yeah, there is one more odd thing here now that I think about it. It's this keyboard. I don't know why, but it isn't made for someone like me. I think the owner of this house has some sort of accident and had lost a finger on both of their hands. And they must have had this keyboard custom built for themselves later on. Because how is anyone with a full set of 7 fingers supposed to use this thing? Anyway, do please send help soon.